Security, drag this man out of here before he touches the cars with his dirty hands.
Obi's scream echoed through the luxury showroom, silencing the wealthy customers. He glared at the stranger's dusty sandals and the heavy, worn-out Ghana-must-go bag clutched in his rough hands. The salespeople laughed, mocking the beggar for daring to step onto the billionaire's floor, but the strange, calm smile on the man's face said something different. As the guards closed in to grab him, the stranger gripped his mysterious bag tighter. The secret inside was about to change everyone's life forever. Subscribe to Amos Tales Africa and we see what made the stranger to smile strangely.
The automatic glass doors of Elite Motors on Victoria Island slid open, and the harsh Lagos afternoon heat clashed with the freezing blast of the showroom's AC. Standing right on the spotless white tiles was a man who clearly did not belong in this wealthy world. He wore a faded, dusty Ankara top and worn-out rubber sandals that squeaked against the floor. In his right hand, he clutched a dirty, oversized Ghana must-go bag that looked heavy enough to snap his wrist. You could hear a pin drop in the luxurious showroom. 3 polished salespeople, dressed in sharp navy blue suits, immediately stopped their quiet chatting and stared, their welcoming smiles instantly twisted into deep, exaggerated frowns of disgust. This was a sanctuary for senators, tech billionaires, and oil tycoons, not a shelter for street hawkers. The head salesman, Obi, let out a loud, mocking hiss. He aggressively adjusted his tie, grabbed his security walkie-talkie, and started marching straight toward the dusty stranger. Obi did not even bother to hide his contempt as he aggressively blocked the man's path to the gleaming vehicles. He pointed a perfectly manicured finger toward the glass exit and told the stranger to turn around before the police were called. He loudly announced that the dealership was not a charity home, assuming the man was a beggar or a desperate laborer looking to wash tires for 200 naira. The other salespeople chuckled from behind their desks, thoroughly enjoying the cruel, humiliating show. But the dusty man did not flinch, panic, or beg for mercy. Instead, he looked Obi dead in the eye with a calm, unnerving confidence. He tightened his grip on the bulging, dirty bag, shifting its massive weight against his leg. A strange, confident smile slowly crept across the stranger's face as he looked right past Obi. He was not looking at the exit door at all. He was staring directly at a pitch-black, top-of-the-line Mercedes G-Wagon resting on a display podium. What exactly was hiding inside that heavy, dirty bag? Obi's voice boomed through the showroom, bouncing off the sleek hoods of the Range Rovers and Lexuses. He didn't just want the man out, he wanted to humiliate him so he'd never think of coming back. He told him the nearest bus stop was 2 blocks away, and there was no free money or pity here for people like him. The other staff members, Sarah and Chidi, began to film the encounter on their iPhones, laughing as they prepared to post the Beggar on their Instagram stories. They called him Baba and joked that he must have lost his way from the local village market. The air in the room felt thick with mockery, a sharp contrast to the expensive cologne and leather scent that usually filled the air, but the man just stood there, his dusty sandals leaving faint brown marks on the white marble. He didn't say a word, which only made Obi's face turn a shade of angry red. He reached out to grab the man's shoulder to physically shove him toward the door, but he stopped mid-air when the man shifted the heavy bag with a loud, metallic thud. Instead of retreating, the stranger took a deliberate step forward, moving deeper into the forbidden territory of the high-end SUV section. Obi's jaw dropped in pure shock at the sheer audacity of this nobody. He screamed that the man must be mentally unstable or a common thief looking for a chance to snatch a customer's phone. He mocked the man's dirty Ankara, asking if he came to apply for a job as a toilet cleaner or a car washer, because that was the only way he'd ever touch a Mercedes. The stranger finally let out a low, dry chuckle that sounded like gravel grinding together. He looked at the price tag on the G-Wagon, which showed more zeros than most people see in a lifetime. Obi signaled for the 2 huge security guards at the gate to come inside and handle the situation before things got messy. As the guards started jogging toward them, with their heavy batons out, the man slowly started to reach into his pocket. Was he pulling out a weapon, or something even more dangerous to Obi's pride? The security guards reached him just as he pulled out a small, cracked Nokia phone to check the time. He didn't even look up as their heavy hands landed on his shoulders, ready to drag him out into the Lagos sun. With a calm strength that surprised everyone, he simply shrugged them off and kept walking toward the center of the room. It was like he was walking through a quiet park, completely ignoring the insults Obi was screaming at the top of his lungs. Obi was now frantic, calling the man a madman and a disgrace to the establishment. The guards hesitated, confused by the man's absolute lack of fear. Usually, people in his position would be trembling or begging for mercy. Instead, he stopped right in front of the shiny G-Wagon, the pride of the entire showroom. He placed his dirty Ghana must-go bag on the floor with a heavy, metallic clank that echoed through the building. The sound was deep and solid, definitely not the sound of a bag filled with rags or trash. Obi rushed over, his face purple with rage, shouting that the man shouldn't even breathe on the paint. He told him that one tiny scratch on that car would cost more than his entire village back home. Sarah and Chidi were still filming, but their laughter was turning into nervous whispers as they noticed the man's intense focus. He didn't look like a beggar anymore. He looked like a judge assessing a criminal. He slowly walked a full circle around the massive SUV, tracing the air around the vehicle with his fingers, but never actually touching the body. The security guards were closing in again, more aggressive this time, their batons raised and ready to end this drama by force. They were just inches away when the stranger finally turned his head toward the manager's office at the back. He didn't look at Obi or the guards. He looked at the glass-walled office where the big boss sat watching everything. He finally opened his mouth to speak, but the words that came out weren't a plea for help. Would his voice reveal a secret that could ruin Obi's career forever? "How much for this one?" the man finally asked. His voice wasn't shaky or small. It was deep, steady, and filled with a strange authority. Obi froze for a second before bursting into a wicked, mocking laugh that echoed off the showroom's high ceiling. He told the man that even if he sold both his kidneys and his family's entire ancestral land in the village, he still couldn't afford to buy the side mirror of that G-Wagon. He loudly quoted a price of 280 million naira, expecting the stranger to faint or run away in shame at the impossible number. Sarah and Chidi joined in the laughter, making jokes about how the man's dusty sandals were harassing the premium tires of the Mercedes. But the stranger didn't flinch. He didn't look insulted. He just nodded slowly, as if he were simply checking the price of a loaf of bread at a corner shop. The mockery in the room reached a fever pitch, with Obi calling him a dreamer who had clearly spent too much time in the sun. The energy in the room shifted from funny to dangerous as the guards grabbed the man's arms to finally drag him out. Obi shouted for them to throw this trash into the gutter before he scared away the billionaire customers they were expecting. But just as the guards started to pull, the man planted his feet firmly on the marble floor. He looked directly at the G-Wagon and then down at the worn-out Ghana must-go bag resting at his feet. He told Obi, in a very calm voice, that he didn't want the display model. He wanted a brand new one in metallic black, and he wanted the papers signed within the hour. The entire showroom went deathly silent as the sales team traded confused glances. Was this man actually mentally ill, or was something unbelievable about to happen? Obi raised his hand to signal the guards to use their batons to end the joke, but the man suddenly reached down and gripped the frayed handles of his heavy bag. What was he about to pull out? The man's muscles tensed as he heaved the Ghana must-go bag off the floor. It was so heavy that the plastic handles dug deep into his calloused palms, turning his skin white. Obi stepped back instinctively, suddenly worried that the man might be carrying something dangerous or even a bomb. The security guards paused, their batons halfway in the air, caught off guard by the stranger's sudden, powerful movement. He didn't run, and he didn't fight back. He simply walked toward the high-polished reception desk, with each step heavy and purposeful. The entire staff watched in total silence, the sound of the man's squeaky sandals now louder than the hum of the AC. He reached the desk and shoved aside a stack of glossy brochures featuring cars he was supposedly too poor to touch. With one final, powerful grunt, he swung the massive bag onto the glass surface. The desk groaned under the weight, and for a second it looked like the expensive glass might shatter right there. "I told you, I want the black one," the man repeated, his voice vibrating through the quiet room like a low drum. He slowly reached for the zipper of the bag, which was held together by a rusty, bent safety pin. The salespeople leaned in, their curiosity finally outweighing their arrogance. Sarah stopped recording her joke video and zoomed in her camera, her hands shaking slightly. Chidi wiped the sweat from his forehead, feeling a strange chill that had nothing to do with the freezing air conditioning. The man unpinned the bag and began to pull the zipper back with a slow, grinding sound that felt like it lasted forever. A faint, earthy smell of old paper and hard work filled the air. Obi started to say something, one last insult to regain control, but the words died in his throat. He saw a flash of something familiar through the widening gap of the bag. It wasn't trash, and it wasn't a weapon. As the zipper moved further, the first stack of crisp purple and green central bank notes peeked out. Could this beggar really be carrying a fortune in his hands? The zipper finally gave way, and the Ghana must-go bag collapsed outward like a blooming flower made of wealth. It wasn't just a few notes scattered at the bottom. Inside were bricks upon bricks of crisp 1,000 naira notes, neatly bundled with thick rubber bands and stacked to the very top. The sheer volume of the money made Obi's legs turn to jelly. He stumbled back, his hand flying to his mouth as the mocking laughter died a sudden, painful death. Sarah's phone slipped from her hand, hitting the marble floor with a crack that nobody even noticed. This wasn't market change or beggar's coins. This was enough cash to buy the G-Wagon, the showroom, and perhaps the entire block. The dusty man didn't look like a beggar anymore. In the middle of the luxury dealership, surrounded by people who thought they were better than him, he stood like a silent king over a mountain of treasure. The heavy scent of bank-wrapped paper filled the air, suffocating the arrogant pride that had fueled the room just moments ago. The glass door of the manager's office swung open, and the big boss, a tall man in a gold-buttoned suit, rushed out with a look of pure terror on his face. He'd been watching through the glass, and he realized too late that his staff had just committed the ultimate sin in Victoria Island business. He pushed past Obi, nearly knocking the trembling salesman over, and reached out to shake the stranger's hand with a desperate, sweating palm. The manager began to apologize profusely, calling him Sir and Chairman, offering him chilled champagne and the softest leather seat in the house. But the stranger didn't take the hand, and he didn't want the wine. He simply pointed at the black G-Wagon and told the manager he wanted the receipt and the gate pass immediately. He looked at Obi, whose face was now the color of grey ashes, and asked if his village money was still too dirty to touch the counter. Obi couldn't even speak. He could only stare at his polished shoes in absolute burning shame. The man began to count the bricks of cash with a speed that showed he was a master of his own fortune. But as the final bundle was laid out, the stranger paused and looked at the trembling Obi one last time. Would he really let these people benefit from his millions after the way they had spat on his dignity? The manager frantically processed the paperwork, his fingers trembling as he counted the massive stacks of cash that now covered his desk. Obi stood in the far corner of the showroom, looking like a ghost, wishing the marble floor would simply open up and swallow him whole. The stranger refused the chilled champagne and the fake, sugary smiles of the staff. He only wanted his keys and his receipt. When the manager tried to offer a massive discount to make up for the little misunderstanding, the man just shook his head slowly. He looked at the manager and told him that respect isn't a gift you give only after you see a person's bank balance. It is a debt you owe every human being the moment they walk through your door. He turned his gaze to Obi and Sarah, who were now trembling in the shadows of the expensive cars. He told them that the dust on his Ankara would wash off with a bit of soap, but the pride and wickedness in their hearts would take a lifetime to clean. He grabbed the keys to the brand new metallic black G-Wagon, and the engine roared to life with a powerful sound that felt like a final judgment on their arrogance. As the massive SUV rolled smoothly out of the showroom, the tires passing over the exact spot where Obi had tried to physically assault him, the silence left behind was heavy and bitter. The big boss didn't even wait for the car to leave the compound before turning to Obi and telling him to pack his bags and never return. There was no place in his business for people who chased away a 280 million naira blessing because of a pair of dusty sandals. The stranger drove into the busy Lagos traffic, a quiet man in a loud car, leaving behind a lesson that would be talked about in that dealership for years to come. We often spend our lives judging people by the labels on their clothes, forgetting that the most valuable treasures are often hidden in the most humble packages. You never know if the person you are looking down on today is the one who holds the power to change your life tomorrow. True character is revealed by how we treat those we think have nothing to give us.
As the G-Wagon roared away, Obi stood in the dust of the commission he just lost and the dignity he could never buy back. Now I want you to hear from you. If you were the man in the dusty clothes, would you have still bought the car to show them your power? Or would you have walked out with your money to let them lose the sale entirely? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Before you go, subscribe to Amos Sales Africa, like this video so that we can get in touch in the next story.